I wanted to ask about Tulsi Gabbard because she's like, I don't know, at least outwardly anti-interventionist, and she's been appointed, or at least suggested that she'll be appointed as director of national intelligence.
No,
Um,
no, I think that she has been.
yeah,
Yeah,
but okay, but I've
she would
watched
be.
a lot of people say that she's a Russian asset, and I've never seen any substantiating evidence of that whatsoever. Um,
Yeah, they said the same thing about Trump. And the funny thing is, prior to the election, I would have said his anti the military industrial complex. After the election and after appointing all these idiots, I would say he's owned and operated by the military industrial complex. But Tulsi Gabbard has a excellent record. She is outspoken. The funny thing is, if you want to see something really interesting, go back to the debates for the Democratic presidential primaries, and she just destroyed Harris.
yeah,
It was so cool. I mean, it was like she took this giant cork, then shoved it down her throat.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response?
wow, that's amazing. And they're trying to interrupt her in the middle of it as well. It's they can tell that she's getting slaughtered. Like, quick, quick, stop her talking, stop her telling the truth.
That was like walking up to somebody with a baseball bat and just smack them across the face. That was the most brilliant 30 seconds, I think, in television history.
Yeah. And that basically ended her campaign at that time. Like she was done after that debate. Which, yeah.
Well, she did the same thing, not Tulsi, but Harris did the same thing this time. She was facing one of those softball interviews, and they said, okay, what would you do different from President Biden? And her response was, well, I can't think of a thing. Jesus, lady, we didn't like Biden. We wanted to replace Biden with somebody else. Oh, yeah, I don't think I'd change anything at all. And amazing woman, just world-class stupid.
How do you think you get, like, right, okay. So people can say that it's like, oh, the political class have lost touch, and it's only that, like, you could say that only idiots are left supporting, like, the Democratic Party or whatever. But, like, the operatives who are within the party, right? The people who are getting paid the big bucks, like the campaign raised $1 billion in 107 days or whatever it was, right? How did they not realize how dumb she sounds? Like, how can you not coach her to have a better answer on anything, really? But like on even like anytime someone came to her about groceries, and she'd be like, well, I grew up in a middle class family. I don't know why she's from the South now, but
and change her accent every time, depending on the color of the people she was talking to. She raised $1.3 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, she outspent Trump 10-1, and you'd think somebody would sit there and tell her to do something other. Do you know the one thing they stopped her from doing?
The laugh.
Cackling.
Yeah, the laugh.
Told her, no cackling. Okay, everybody hates the cackling. Just bite your tongue. Here's the problem, and you actually ask most of a really good question. This is what you get at the end of the empire. You can go back to Rome in 300 and 400 AD. There was one period where there were 3 emperors, I think, in one day. You had the Praetorian Guard picking the emperors based on how much money they got. And if you look at the incident in Pennsylvania where Trump was nearly assassinated, and that was an absolute miracle. He missed death by 5 seconds. Okay, if he hadn't turned his head at exactly the right instant, his brains would have been splattered all over the podium. That was the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. Now, I'll give the guy credit. His response was excellent. Okay. The Secret Service finally realized, hey, we thought we were going to whack this guy, but, maybe we couldn't pretend that we're protecting him. That was amazing. I mean, the Praetorian Guard for the United States did not give a shit if Donald Trump got killed. And strange enough, I wouldn't want to come within hand grenade range of Donald Trump today.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think maybe he was more likely to get assassinated before he put all of these warmongers in his cabinet. No, I am not sure.
Well, that's exactly my feeling, because I think he just gave the military-industrial complex a giant blowjob.
Yeah, and so many people hoped that wouldn't be the case. I don't know. We'll obviously see how things play out, and I doubt that anyone that is appointed in Trump's cabinet there wasn't very many people who made it from the initial appointments to the end of Trump's last presidency. So I have hope that maybe he will learn before they start dropping bombs.
I don't think so. I'll just flat tell you, in hindsight, we're going to realize he was bought and paid for. And I wish there was some way of determining who loaned him the $454 million, because whoever it is, they own Donald Trump today, and he's paying it off. And his appointments are just absolutely disgusting. Huckabee, there's no Palestinians, there's no occupation, there's no West Bank. Really? Where have you been for the last 50 years? And to put the crazies in charge, bad things are going to happen.
Ooh, well, on a more positive note, anyone holding Bitcoin since Trump has been elected has been enjoying watching numbers go up.
Strange enough, I was hoping you were going to point that out. If you own Bitcoin, and I don't, and I wouldn't, you're a happy camper.
I very much am. I mean, I don't have a loads, but nice to see that investment going up. Okay? So we've seen that it go from 68,000 or whatever it was before the election, right up to 93 yesterday, and then hover around 88, 90 today. I don't know where it's at right now, but there's been a lot of speculation that governments are thinking of creating some sort of strategic reserve. The state of Pennsylvania announced today that they would be creating, or at least trying to pass a bill to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve for the state of Pennsylvania. People have been asking for a long time for, a currency to no longer be just fiat and to be backed by something physical again. Are we seeing some sort of huge upheaval here in how we might think about currency over the next decade?
Interestingly enough, and I would have to look this up, perhaps you can look it up while you're there. We're at a full moon. Okay. It was either yesterday or it's today. And Tom McClellan says you get turning points at full moons on a regular basis. And we've had a turning point in gold, and I think we've had a turning point in Bitcoin and a turning point in the dollar. And quite bluntly, I wrote the day before the election and said we have started a correction. And I don't blame Trump for the correction in gold. I think we were overdue for a correction. Corrections are healthy things. Silver's back below $30 an ounce. Zinc's gone from, I think, 43 cents to 32 cents. Those are all good things. You need to correct excess. And when I'm not a fan of Bitcoin, okay, never owned it.
Hey everyone, thanks for making it right the way to the end of the podcast. I love that you tuned in this long. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, because 80% of you bastards are not subscribing, but you're watching my videos. See you next time.